Hey folks, your
Absolute Packer podcast initiating in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Packerland. Welcome to episode 12 of the Absolute Packer podcast with Andy and Elliot. Today we're going to recap Packers versus the Bears, talk about some outside football stuff, and then some business league stuff, and then maybe some other stuff. So, how you doing, Elliot?
You're so solemn and professional.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to go back to my my humor takes or whatever. But I had the I don't know, the very straightforward intro there. I'm all business.
Well, I think we have a fun list of stuff, and for once, I think the bigger news is not the Packers, because we pulled out a win, and it was like,
yeah, it's amazing what a win does, right? It is the ultimate week-to-week league.
Right, and it was a weak team, but their division opponent, so like it was all good.
Yeah, I mean, living in Green Bay, as you know, it's like when after Packers lost, the demeanor of the town for on Mondays is horrific. Usually, you can just feel the sense of malaise and apathy for on Monday, and then usually by Wednesday, you're like, oh, okay. When there's a win, it's everybody's got a pep in their step, and it's funny. So definitely when you win, just collectively around the community, it's always better. Morale is just higher.
I mean, I think everybody that lives here, if they don't recognize it, I think once it's pointed out to them, they
Yep.
would. If anybody ever visits Green Bay for a game, go to Starbucks the next day. Just go through the drive-thru.
That's true. No, that's a very good point. That's a good microcosm, right?
It is palpable.
Yep, I believe it.
Because anybody who's in customer service, they have to deal with the good and the bad all day,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if they just spent 2 hours dealing with happy people, or kind of
They're talking with like 75-year-old dudes that are talking about special teams, punt formations and all these things that nobody else knows about. But they're like, can you believe it? So the football IQ is high, but the commentary, definitely. That's a good idea. I need to write that down. Go to Starbucks every Monday and just take a litmus test. Yeah.
I'm not a Starbucks shareholder, so I'm not advocating anybody go there every week. Just go once. You don't have to buy anything. Just go there.
I hear you. Yeah, and I mean, to your point, as the first topic is the X's and O's, I say this was essentially a game between two bad teams. The Packers, I would qualify collectively as bad. Are they horrible? No, but they're not very good. The Bears have an ascending defense. I'll say that. They've actually performed quite well, especially at home against some other teams. They beat the Steelers, which the Steelers are a good team. So that, they did it at home. So they've beaten some teams, but they're still kind of fledgling. They got a first year rookie quarterback that they've inserted who's got a long way to go. He's got a lot of talent. We can touch on him a little bit, but in general, the team isn't very good. I don't know if John Fox, their coach, is going to survive after the season. Who knows? But, yeah, I mean, the expectations going into the game is like I'll tell you what, if we lost, it would have been really bad. That I will say. But winning, you're kind of like, okay, what does it really mean? It gives a little confidence to Hundley. That was the way I looked at it.
So, you know what? I think most of the, to me, most of the discussion of if I was like watching the game was more about the Bears.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like that challenge.
I've never seen a challenge like that. That was crazy.
Well, why did he challenge?
Well, nobody
it?
obviously saw it. I mean, I didn't even see it, because that's the thing in a game where it's bang, bang, even when you have the people who are in charge of review and their very job is to do that, it's bang, bang quick. And I bet you by the time they even noticed that would have been a possibility, the red flag had already been thrown, and then you can't undo what's been done.
Well, I forget what the call on the field was.
The call on the field was that I think he was basically out of bounds. And then they showed a replay.
When he caught it.
Yes.
Okay, so then it was like an incomplete.
Yes, or actually, okay. I need to take a step back because he caught it and he was running. The call might have been he stopped short, but he ended up hitting the pylon. That's right. So then the Bears challenged it, saying he hit the pylon, and then it would have been a touchdown. Ah, that's what it was. I'm sorry.
So what?
It was such a Bears thing, Did you see the reaction? Have you seen the GIF or the video of John Fox when they actually deliver it? Yeah. The look on his face. He just like his whole body. He loses 4 inches of height just at the very end.
Because he's like, I just fired myself.
I know, that's funny.
Amazing job.
I've never seen that before. It was interesting. But that's one of those stupid rules that they need to undo. It doesn't. I mean, why is it that if you fumble through the end zone, it's a touchback? It's just a stupid rule that really has no logical place. it's just it's a technical rule, you know.
You're right, and it's some kind of like it's like a technicality.
Yeah, it really is.
And you can like do all these like end around justifications for it. Like, well, what if the defense is really good? And but I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I mean, but the rule is the rule,
exactly.
So
Well, you have to enforce it and abide by while it's going on. But in the off season, that's something they should look at on the competition committee and just say we need to get rid of that. That's stupid.
I'll tell you what, I never really understood that.
It doesn't make sense. But to your point, a rule's a rule. I mean, let's be honest. Did Des Bryant catch that ball in the playoff game? Probably, but rule's a rule, you know. Did Aaron Rodgers? These are plays that win the Packers' favor, obviously. But you remember when Aaron Rodgers threw the big Hail Mary against Detroit? Remember the play before they called it a face mask when the guy's finger basically brushed by his face mask.
Yep. Hey, the face mask things are really touchy.
They are.
Like those things are like you could call that on every single play on somebody on the field. And
they got that call because it was Aaron Rodgers, and had that not been called, the game was over because you can't have a defensive penalty at the end of a game. So anyway, and have it if it happens at 0, you can't end the game. So anyway, that's how that whole Hail Mary thing ended up coming about. But yeah, it's a dumb rule. So kind of popping into the next thing, you know, Brett Hundley, as we all know, he'd been. I think, you know, it's twofold. He'd been kind of handcuffed by McCarthy's playing calling, but also he's learning on the fly. You know, I was really harsh on him at first, and rightfully so to a point because he's got 10 years, seems like it, probably 2.5 years in the offensive system. He may not be working with the ones, but he's got a lot of time in the offense, and it looked like they picked him in the first game he started. It looked like they picked him up off the street the week before, and I don't know if that's coaching or Hundley or both, but he has shown a little bit of improvement, minor improvement through each game. In this game, you know, it looked the same to start off. I mean, it was just dink and dunk fest with not doing a whole lot, just not moving the ball well at all, even when Aaron Jones was in there, who's that dynamic running back, which hopping into the next, you know, bullet. The freaking injuries. I mean, thank God they carried 3 running backs in the game because the 2 top running backs got hurt. Aaron Jones, it looked like he tore his ACL. They had him on a cart, and I'm like, oh, shit, there's the end of that. But no, he had a sprained MCL, which if you're going to have a knee injury, that's the best case scenario.
But is he going to be out?
Yeah, he's out for 3 to 6 weeks. So my guess is he's probably going to be out minimum. I mean, we're talking probably 4 weeks. So he may, you know, they say 3 to 6, but it's never going to be the minimum with the Packers. It's always more towards the maximum.
Right. Yeah, but Ty Montgomery's only out again.
But Ty Montgomery, the thing I don't get with him is he's broke his ribs earlier this year, and then he's kind of banged up, and then he broke them again. I'd shut him down. If you got broken ribs, I mean, what are you trying to do? They're broken ribs. You can't heal them in a week. So you put a flak jacket on them or whatever they're doing. But Ty Montgomery, the experiment has to end. I feel bad for the guy because he was put in a bad situation by a stupid roster move last year, GM, a coach who was desperate. He's a player without a home. He does the best that he can with what he's got, but he's not an every down back. He cannot stay healthy. He's not a very good receiver. I mean, he's just an okay receiver. So he's in the NFL. If you're a player without a position, you're not a player. You're out of the league. You know, you're special teamer. That's it. So I don't know what's going to become of him. And great dude. And it just got to stop though because they're throwing. You know, it's like insanity. They keep trying the same thing over and over, expecting different results, and it's not going to work. But Jamal Williams looked outstanding for a guy who didn't look very good in training camp. He was shot out of a cannon. He looked like Aaron Jones when he first got on the field, actually, and he was running guys over. Yeah. And part of me is looking at, you know, they drafted, I think, 3 running backs. All 3 of them are kind of intriguing. The guy we haven't even seen yet is Devontae Mays, and we're going to see him because Aaron Jones and Montgomery both aren't playing. So it's going to be, and I'm talking this coming game tomorrow against the Ravens. All indications, I read this today, that Devontae Mays might be the most intriguing back of all of them, which I'm going, well, that's cool. But then I'm also going, why the hell is he so far down on the depth chart? Why does it have to take, if he's the most intriguing back, what's he doing, you know, languishing on the pine? I don't get that with the Packers. You know, he's got to be good in pass protection. We can throw that shit out the window now. You got Hundley in there. You got to get these guys out there to see if you can play. If it's Rodgers, it's one thing. You know what I mean? If they got talent, like the same thing with Aaron Jones. I mean, the guy wasn't polished in pass protection, but he's 3 times as good as Montgomery, and they're scared about pass protection. It's got to stop.
Yep.
But that, again, it's a definitely a good positive that Aaron Jones has a skill set. Ty Montgomery here and there, but Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, and then we haven't seen Devontae Mays, but you got to think the guy's got to be number one chomping at the bit. And, he's got fresh legs. He's never really ran in a game, so he's going to be completely healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I think that'll be good.
So there's my positive notes. Anybody, I'm like George Costanza, can quit while I'm ahead, and I'm going to go down negative town. No, I'm kidding. Because look at the next one. Oh, my God. The Packers special teams. Look at these two things. I mean, I did a quick research on here, and they said it in the game. This is why I knew that. Packers lead the league in special teams penalties against.
That is a crazy stat.
And everybody knows that under McCarthy's tenure, he's never had a strong special teams unit. At best, I mean, at absolute ceiling, they've been average, which means the average tenure of him, they've been mediocre. And you don't have to put a ton of emphasis on special teams because you need to do it on the offensive defense. I do get that. But every now and then, you want them to at least be average to above average. And it's like an afterthought. And I just don't get it. The field goal kicking unit is like a Benny Hill theme. I mean,
I feel terrible.
Yeah, and it's not Crosby. I should make that clear. Crosby is fine. It's the snapper and the holder, and it's Keystone Cops. It's like right now it's like a 50-50 shot on every field goal because they may snap it in the ground, they may not get the hold, and Jesus.
I mean, the way I feel about mediocrity in the NFL, I'm really harsh on anybody who's below average because I'm like, you could put anybody out there to screw up.
I agree with you.
You and I.
The amount of competition. It's like if you're not that good, you're gone. They're going to find somebody else.
Yeah. I just I'm like bobbling it. Like that's your whole job to not bobble the ball.
Now I will say this with the philosophy of I say that and the proof's in the pudding what you're seeing there, but. It's kind of like with the defense, where does Ted Thompson begin and end, and where does Dom Capers with his issues begin and end? I say that because they constantly have a very young team. They got really young guys on special teams. McCarthy's always said the path to the 53-man roster through special teams. So rookies, it's filled with rookies, not a lot of a lot of veterans. But other teams do that too. We just happen to have more rookies. So it's got to do better. And Ron Zook got to go. The guy's a pile. That's all I'm gonna say. He's a worthless coach. It was the most uninspiring hire after they fired Sean Slocum that I've ever seen.
So, again, if you're below average, I can put anybody in there and be below average.
I think he's just buddy with McCarthy. I hate to say it. The guy was, let me put it this way. If your time, he was the head coach of the University of Florida, if you remember, and it was not a very good tenure. It was after Steve Spurrier left, actually, who was like, the godfather in Florida for a while. Didn't go very well. And then he became the head coach of Illinois. Didn't do well there either. So it's almost like he's not even doing lateral moves. He's just keep moving down and down and down. And you're like, okay, now you're a freaking NFL special teams coach. What are you? What is he next going to be? The quote quality control coordinator, whatever the hell that means. So it's just an uninspiring hire is all I can say to that. I think he should be gone at the end of the year, but who the hell knows? Maybe his contract's up.
Yeah, well, I mean, I said it before. Like, I think we should clean house as much as possible.
I still, no matter what happens, I agree. I still, no matter what happens, I think the things that are, if you put a gun to my head and said, what's really going to happen? I would say Capers gets fired, Thompson, McCarthy come back, and they both get extended. I still think that's what's going to happen. But
so I know it's just a metaphor. But you can't say put a gun to my head after I just watched The Punisher.
That's true in this climate.
You can't do that to me.
What should I replace it with? Put a
I don't know.
I don't know. Put a smartphone to my head. Put a smartphone to my head, and watch me get cancer over 60 years of exposure.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mm.
All right, you have one more bullet.
Yes, and this gets back to another positive. So, as you know, I mean, they haven't been able to throw the ball downfield at all, and I think a huge part of that is McCarthy just won't let him, which I get. Scared to death of turnovers and all that. But Hundley finally, and it was basically fourth quarter of the game, finally showed a spark. That touchdown pass to Devontae Adams was Rodgers-esque. I was watching, when I watched the play, I was texting. I usually do this through the game with my dad and my brother. And right when he threw it, I said, that was a Rodgers throw. I mean, everything about it was Rodgers. And a great adjustment by Adams.
Except for the one in each of the three previous quarters that Rodgers would have also had.
Well, that is true. Hundley ain't no Rodgers, but I'll give him credit for that. That was beautiful.
No,
and that
awesome.
Could be the moment where he got some confidence. He's not going to all of a sudden become, even a serviceable starting quarterback. But he could be if he takes these little steps, and that's the impetus to get him to the next level. I'll take it. And then that deep ball, 3rd and 10, like down deep in our territory, through that bomb to Adams. That was, partially they caught the Bears napping because they didn't think he could throw it deep. And he's got an arm. He's athletic and he's got an arm, but his accuracy's been his thing. But that was a beautiful deep ball. Beautiful. The touchdown was the better throw and a better catch, but that one behind it was another confidence throw. So people have to at least start respecting that, which is good. And McCarthy at least knows that he can do it, and Hundley knows he can do it. Throw deep, I mean.
Yep. And if he doesn't have to do that much, right? He just has to have the threat of the deep
I would agree.
ball.
If you have the threat of it, that'll help so much.
Yeah, and then he can make up the difference on his legs.
Yep.
Like if he has to take off and run for 4 yards.
What do you think about his gum chewing?
Whatever, right? So I caught a headline that was an issue.
He's gonna bite his tongue off, for Christ's sakes.
Well, but you know what? Like, gum is a great stress reliever thing.
But not in an NFL game. I could see him choking on it. Oh my God! And it's because look at the guys that are trying to kill you, smack you. I mean, what if you're running and you're chewing and then you start choking on gum? That's what keeps happening to me. But then on the flip side, I will say this. Now I'm being like protective parent there, but on the flip side, guess who chewed gum every game of his career for a long, long time, and he was the best ever? Michael Jordan. Go look at videos of Michael Jordan. Yes. He chewed gum all the time. Yes. So I go, okay.
I'm so glad you said that because I was trying to place they almost make the same movement. Like when they're chewing.
Yeah, real chompy with that. But I've forgotten. I mean, he played, almost 20 years, and he was a huge gum chewer. So I'm like, that makes it fun.
And he only choked like 50, 60 times. It was fine.
It is funny seeing a professional athlete, though, just chomping on chewing gum out there. You're like, because when they'll replay it and they'll do a close-up on Hundley, and you can see him just chomp. You're like, what?
So that's so interesting because like Hundley, I can genuinely believe if you try to put yourself in his shoes, right? Like the weight of the world feels like it's on your shoulders.
And the weight of the world, I think, got lifted too.
And hopefully, but to me, I'd be like, let me have some gum,
you know what I look at it? It's almost like it's like a fidget spinner for a kid, right? Just a little nervous. One of those things. So I know what you're saying, but I just thought it was kind of odd. And if you look on Twitter during the game, people are like, "What's up with the gum chewing?" Blah 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 blah.
You know what? If that becomes your chief complaint about the Packers,
take it, right?
we're A-okay.
No kidding. You're going to see the language of his next contract. Only gum chewing. On away games or something.
You know what? If he can pull out a win against the Ravens and he's got to chew gum, I say I'll send him a truckload myself.
Sweet, and I get an endorsement deal. I'm actually going to the game tomorrow, second game. So, yeah.
Are you? That's awesome.
I'm curious to. I mean, all indications. I don't want to get into that right now, but I'll say they should win this game. But whatever, every game is 50-50 right now. It just is.
I agree. Like we don't have any unwinnable games.
Agreed. That's the best part about the end of the season here is there's no games except for Pittsburgh. If they win, that's on the road at Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh could put up 50 on us. Yeah,
but they also got beat by the Bears. And I understand it's early versus late in the season.
But it is on the road at Pittsburgh.
And it is on the
Bears
road.
beat them at home.
So yeah, I mean, so if I'm tallying up my bet for the season, I would put a loss there.
I would too.
But I would put a win on most of the other ones.
They're very winnable, especially the Browns. For Pete's sake, let's hope.
Right, but you know how it goes. Like in seasons like this, we'll end up with the Browns beating us.
If the Browns have no wins, that's going to be their Super Bowl. Every game is their Super Bowl.
It is. It's like Detroit. That was like 10 years ago, right? Where they went like
the last game of the season was against the Packers. You remember that? God, I was like, don't let this happen. Holy crap. And that was Aaron Rodgers' first year as a quarterback, 2008.
That's
right. Wow, 0-16. Unbelievable. The Browns could be 0-16. They could. They have a legit shot.
I mean, there's something sort of like when you're completely out of it, there's something a little bit freeing about
I know what
that,
you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
Because you can do anything.
All the pressure.
Win,
well, I shouldn't say because all the pressure. If they go into the last week of the year and they haven't won a game, all the pressure is going to be on them. Because again, you don't want to be that team. But up until then, it's like the pressure's on the other team not to lose to you. So weird. Why we're talking about the Browns? All right, let's move on to.
I don't know.
I say outside of football stuff, but it's still related to team. Aaron Rodgers back at practice. Now, it was funny when all over Twitter, they're like, Aaron's back, Aaron's back, Aaron's back. And I look on there and I go, he's running 3 miles an hour in sweatpants. So when they say he's back at practice, it means he's just able to jog in sweatpants. Was he taking snaps from a center? Yes. Was he taking the snaps and then throwing? No. He's not doing any motions with his arm. Nothing. He's not going to start working on throwing for probably 4 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks.
And
I'd say
nor should he.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. So this whole...
And he doesn't need to.
No. Of course not.
We're not going to win the division. It's just not going to happen.
Because here's, I mean, the same thing happened in 2013, right? It's looking a lot like that right now. Now, I don't think we are going to win either because, man, Minnesota is way ahead right now. They're what? Are they 2 games? They're 2 games or 3 games?
I think they're 2 full games.
So that could be very tough, no doubt. Yeah. But, and I even put a note here. No matter what happens, I don't see him coming back. I just don't. I mean, he is your franchise. He's going to be doing it. If they would bring him back, that could potentially be damaging to his throwing shoulder. Mm-hmm. They won't let that happen. If there's even a minute chance, they won't let that happen. And nor should they. I don't care if they do win the division. They just can't. You just can't.
Well, if they win the division and he's cleared, I'd let him play in the playoffs.
But will they? Well, what I'm saying is, will he even be cleared by then? Because we're also looking at the short end of a long-term injury, the timeline. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see.
But also like, how crappy is that? If Hundley would help win the division.
I think that'd be really cool. I mean, because no matter what happens, if Hundley, let's put it this way, if Hundley ends up helping the Packers and putting meaningful contributions into winning the division, that means they will be able to trade him for a first-round pick. A first-round pick. Yeah. I guarantee you. That will be a boon for them. Not a second round, a first round. So it's such a quarterback-needy league. Anybody who shows any semblance of anything will generate such huge demand. Huge. Yeah. So it's in our best interest as a team and as a franchise and whatever, Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah. No doubt. And if he does well and isn't in a tradable situation, well, he improved a lot.
Yeah, so and just as a fan and as a whatever, fan of the team and just the state of the team, it's good. So it's win-win. Yeah. Next one. This is just odds and ends about Ted Thompson. Ted still hasn't replaced Martellus Bennett's roster spot, and he still hasn't put Brian Bulaga on IR, even though it's been 3 weeks. I have no idea what he's waiting for.
Well, I mean, it's not.
There's only 51 players on the roster right now. You have a 53-man roster. What are you doing?
That's not his whole job.
No. His job is to sit behind his man in the high castle walls and have McCarthy, his lackey, do all his press conferences and stuff.
I just don't get that. Well, I mean, is he working on some trade deal that we just don't know about?
Part of it is this. I say some of this tongue in cheek, being somewhat sarcastic, because I think it's the game day roster is 46. You have a 53-man roster, you have a game day, so there's that component, but also a lot of these moves, you'll bring a guy in from the practice squad, you'll sign him, and then he'll be on the team for a cup of coffee, and then you're out. So these are generally the more. So there's an element of that where it's not like they're about to bring off some stud that's going to replace some guy. So there's just an element of some of it could literally be contracts and money against the cap and things like that. So, but Ted he's one of the few guys that does things like this. Almost everybody keeps a full 53-man roster all the time. They don't go weeks without filling spots. It's such a Ted thing,
It just feels.
And he never talks about it. People have always questions. He never talks about it. So it's annoying. That's all I can say.
Yeah. I mean, being devil's advocate. I mean, I guess you don't want to be rushed into a mediocre choice.
Well, sure. And the other thing is, Ted doesn't give a good goddamn what anybody thinks. I think that's pretty plainly clear.
Yeah,
very clear. I've often said, and I even put this out on social media and in some discussions on Facebook on my personal account. I think Ted is he's a glorified scout masquerading as a GM. He's a scout. No doubt. And I mean, and so he's not doing the duties of a GM. But why does he do that? Because he can, and Mark Murphy doesn't care. I shouldn't say he doesn't care, but he doesn't have a problem with it. So I mean, what do you do? And McCarthy, he must not like it, but he's doing it. So what do? You just keep moving.
Yep.
All right. So that's basically that. We can hop into JS comments can go to the very end. I think I kind of put this early.
Did we talk about Bennett playing already?
No, but we did, because at the last, well, we kind of did. I'll say this, but when we did the podcast last time, he had already been picked up by the Patriots, and I think the game was happening that night. I mean, it is what it is. He's a fraud. He's a charlatan.
Yeah.
He quit on the team. Everything that's known there could he potentially help the Patriots win a Super Bowl? Yeah, you're darn right.
That just makes me lose my mind.
But again, part of me, talking about the Patriots, are they borderline unethical? Yeah. Are they, schemy and swindly at times? Yeah. Do they push the envelope of rules and whatnot? Yeah. But guess what? Scoreboard,
Win
baby.
games. That's right.
And nobody else is even bothering to do anything remotely like them.
Yeah.
I think I look at them and they're just laughing at other people. They're laughing at people like us.
Yeah, they are.
So I say, if you don't like what they're doing about Martellus Bennett, why don't you as a team put a claim in and don't let them just hop right over there?
Yep. And, you can say what you want, but, 20, 30, 50 years from now, yeah, you'll just be you'll be a curmudgeonly old man. You'll be like, yeah, but they cheated. And people are like, yeah, but nobody cares. Like, they have the records.
And I mean, a lot of it's gamesmanship. I think they do take it to they really push the envelope. I mean, but I'll be honest. Yeah. The Deflategate was crap. It was a bunch of crap. The Spygate thing, there may have been something there, but a lot of teams kind of do things somewhat similar. It's one of those good old boy things you don't talk about, So, this Bennett thing is just, it's borderline unethical, you could say, but it's gamesmanship that other people just don't do. So,
I get it. Yeah.
This ain't show friends, it's show business, man.
Well, and I kind of put it in the same, I don't know, maybe not. I always think about the line of scrimmage, hard count, penalty drawing, Aaron Rodgers types of things. Like, it's about being hyper competitive. Like, you want to use everything to your advantage. And like, if I can pick up 5 yards or I can get that first down by doing something that's just like not really in the spirit of the game, fine, I'm going to do that. Yeah. Enough said.
Kind of like Shooter McGavin. Those are the rules. I didn't make them.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear you. So, okay, business league stuff. There's some. You had mentioned before we got on here that the NFL, league owners, all this stuff, they're approaching civil war, and I tend to agree with you. The undercurrent that's happening with it's the trust between the league, the union, the owners, the commissioner, the media. It is all just boiling over, and this. The whole, I put the title of my little note here, and again, I glossed at this. This isn't the name of it. There's tinfoil level stuff going on behind the scenes with Jerry Jones and Papa John. And I mean, this article, it basically what it alludes to is, Colin Kaepernick is obviously suing the league for collusion. And when you sue the league and you involve lawyers and attorneys and things like that, there's a process, as we know, called discovery. And they are going to dig into everything. And it's already, it's basically coming out that Jerry Jones might have been in the ear of Papa John Shatner or whatever his name is to say those things where he said that the protests are hurting the pizza sales or whatever, which if it sounds too, like a fiction, story, like you said, truth is stranger than fiction. And I'll tell you one thing, Jerry Jones, man, I think he's just a bad dude. He's a guy who's a savvy businessman, no doubt. But there's so much bad swirling about that guy. I don't know. I mean,
so and again, like I think these are all like hearsay, rumor types of things. But
there's a lot of smoke. There may not be fire yet, but there is smoke everywhere.
But supposedly, Jerry Jones said to Goodell,
"I'm going to go after your ass." Basically, I'll do everything in my power to.
But going back to the Patriots, he's like, "You think that the Kraft is anything? No, he's a pussy.
Yeah, I saw that.
Destroy you."
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, whoa.
I mean, talk about eating. The league eating itself. It's
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, just even like on the side, like those questions, like just being those comments being just out there as being something that's believable that he said. I think that's hugely damaging because they got to be on the same page. Like, the prosperity of the league, they have to all care about that. Like, that's more important than the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl this year. The 10-year prosperity of the league is way more important than a single Super Bowl win. It just blows me away.
Yeah. And then Roger Goodell is very obtuse, is the name of the next one. And that's some details are coming out about his quote unquote demands and some of the details of his next contract. Some of it's rumored to be $50 million a year compensation. He wants health care for life. He wants use of a private jet. Now, again, are these all the minutia and legalese within the contract? No, but some of these top level things in this climate that are kind of coming out, and he's kind of complaining about some of his compensation being performance based. I get that other businesses, you hear about Wall Street all the time where, a bankrupt company will still give out tens of millions in bonuses because they can. It doesn't look good, but that's just how they structured. It's the climate. You are seeing, it's this whole undercurrent of everything coming at it's kind of the haves versus the have-nots, so to speak, in all walks. And that's kind of a broad statement, but it's just the optics are so poor. And if you don't think these things are going to come out publicly, you're kidding yourself. These are all old men who don't understand, the tide of social media and the tide of everything coming out quickly. I don't know. That's kind of rambling.
Yeah. So I don't think I could agree with you on that more. So when you compare the NFL, which is, boy, I don't know. You could talk business, philosophy, and politics, but it's like a little communist country, the NFL, right?
Yeah.
These are not competitors really. They're all they all share the profits. It's so weird. But when you compare the NFL to a Fortune 500 company like yours, you could say, and you could put Tim Cook up there from Apple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tim Cook, he's a superstar. He's worth really what they have to pay him. And maybe his direct reports, if you look at them as being the coaching staff, some of them might be very important. But there's no quarterback. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you ask me who's more important to the league, Aaron Rodgers or Goodell, Tom Brady or Goodell, it's not even a contest.
Yeah. There's this quasi old corporate good old boy figurehead kind of perception. I know exactly what you're saying. You could stick in, let's put it this way. Jerry Jones could become the commissioner and people would be like, I don't want it. And then it'd be like, oh, okay, football's on. You know what I mean?
Yep. So
it really doesn't matter.
I don't know how much you read about this stuff, but the thing I remember reading is that they talked about going back to the old commissioner. I forget his name, Ted League or something like that. Mm-hmm. But then they also floated the idea of bringing in the NBA's commissioner. And really? he flatly turned it down. And it's like, okay, so if that position is so we can just slot in a guy who has,
nothing, no experience in that realm,
vague experience,
Mm-hmm.
Boy, he's not worth $50 million. Holy, wow. It's outrageous. And the other, I mean, that's just the icing. Then it's all the other stuff, no, sorry, you're not worth that.
Yeah. I mean,
it's got to ask.
In some respect, you're right. I mean, it's capitalist type society. It's like, how much is someone worth? The amount that someone's willing to pay him.
Yeah.
So I get that, and that's essentially the way it should be. It's just, but what you're seeing is, I mean, look at it this way: the owners in the league and everybody, they desperately want the controversies to all go away. Guess what? That's gone, gone, and they were to be that slow to react to understand that they are not. They are. It ain't happening. It's not happening again. That's just. I don't know,
Yeah. I think they could use a change.
Yes, change.
And now, that being said, I don't have somebody better who's going to.
I was going to say I can complain and basically point fingers and say, here's what's going on. I don't really know if I have a suggestion quite yet for what would be a positive change. I just look at the sidelines with the popcorn, right?
But from I hate to say that from a business standpoint things are on autopilot, but they kind of are. So they have their multi-year plan about when they go to London, when they go to Mexico City. Those are the negotiation types of things. The TV contracts. What are the other big things? There's some day-to-day business stuff, of course, right? But any C-level executive type person can handle those responsibilities.
Sure.
So let him go.
And what's funny, I mean, Goodell, what was he? He's a lawyer. Because all these guys, I mean, they're freaking lawyers and so many attorneys, so it's and the same thing with politicians. Where do they all come from? Usually lawyers. I mean, and I get that you have to be versed in somewhat in law, but I don't know. Now I'm really going down the rabbit hole.
Hey man, we could go a half hour on that.
I gotta actually, my cats are locked in and they're whining, and I gotta let them out. So welcome to my life.
Hey, all they give you is 30 minutes in and out.
Nice.
All right, what else do we have on the list?
Oh, we should. How about real quick JS comments, and then we should do the phone number to call in.
Okay.
Okay. JS comments is pretty quick, but okay. So we talked about Hundley and his chewing gum. So this one, is pretty self-explanatory, but still funny. So quote, Hundley needs to quit chewing bubblegum like a teenager and look like a leader on the field.
Yeah.
There's some truth in there, I suppose. That one's kind of tame. There hasn't been a whole lot of new ones on JS Comments, truth be told, so that was one I could take. Now, this was funny, though. So I really started digging into the Twitter account and seeing who they follow, and I noticed, they only follow one account. And the one account they follow, that's JS Comments, they follow Jeff Janis's official Twitter account.
No way.
I thought the only account they'd follow would be JS Online, but it wasn't. It was Jeff Janis.
That is awesome.
So they're trolling themselves,
Right.
It's very good.
That's spectacular.
Very good. Yes. I had to throw that nugget in there. Yeah. So, game. It's Saturday afternoon. Game tomorrow, the Ravens at home. And let's hope they can pick one up and then I think get some people calling in. Call in.
Did you just hit a button or did you just do that?
No, I said call in. That was me talking.
That sounded like a little sound sample. I'm going to use that. I'm going to snip that now.
It's a skill. I don't know how it'll help me in my daily life, but
okay. So you got me looking at Twitter, and Malcolm Young from AC/DC just passed away.
I know. It's to that point. I saw that, and what's really sad about that. I'm a huge musician, blues, all that. So I'm not a huge AC/DC fan, but I realize what they are, and I like them. And man, he died of dementia. At 64. Yeah. He's had dementia for almost a decade. I mean, you talk about early onset. That is very, very sad. R.I.P. Malcolm. Or my band used to cover If You Want Blood, You Got It from AC/DC. So nice. I actually reposted that on Facebook today, our version of us doing that. Kind of said R.I.P. So
I didn't even realize that. I've been off Facebook today. Jeez.
Yeah. Let's check it out. I posted it, shared it.
Phone number 508-535-5468. We'd love some comments. We'd love especially like post-game recap of the Ravens. If you want to throw in some predictions, we could talk through those. If anybody's predictions were right next time, put anything in there you want. It's a voicemail number, so you don't have to be live on air. If you want me to take your name out, I will. 508-535-5468. Leave a voicemail. That's all I got. Okay.
Sweet.
Go Pack Go.
That is the bumper sticker message. Let's go. Go Pack Go.
Podcast.
Chair.
I know, right?